Hey everybody, this is Leonard Johnson coming back at you again with the Run the Hammer broadcast, and getting off one, coming on to another one of these young lions who keeping us old people from getting jobs and everything. So, but we got the we got the great we got the great we got
Hey,
the
the
great
wise, the wise.
we got the great Greg Wright from Timberland High School, and just want to get just happy to have Greg on. And we were supposed to be on last night, but we had some issues. He was out there in the country, and we couldn't. We didn't have enough cord to put our cans together so that we could connect and everything. But we are here tonight. As you can see, Greg is driving, so we're gonna make this work tonight. Before we get started,
Yes, sir.
let me give a big shout out to Chris Carter, who today was named the head football coach at Orangeburg Wilkinson High School. And Chris is another young line. He took that Lake Marion program and turned it around. Got one game away from playing in the state championship, and a great coach. A great coach, and very diverse in what he does, and he just loves kids. The things that he does for the for the kids. So a big shout out to him, and for the things the great things he's going to do at OW. And he's following another good coach in Bush Crosby. Bush decided he wanted to go into administration, and so let's give him all your Orangeburg people and all us coaches. Let's go ahead and give him the best support that he can. Because that's
Sir.
that's going to be that's going to be a challenging situation for him. I'm going to do something here, Greg, before I get you on, because I don't want to have the whole page here. This is your show, and I
Okay.
want everybody to see you. That's not good. Okay, here we go. This is the right one. Let's see. Let's do it like this. Here we go. Now, there we go. All right, people. Here we go. Coming down from the low country, the great one. Um, Greg Wright. Golly, I think the first time I met Greg, we were in Columbia doing something, and
Right.
I can't remember what it was, but with a bunch of us, I know he had his cousin with him, Sean, and another young man, and I
Yes,
can't
sir.
remember who that was, and I can't remember his name. But we went out to lunch and we had a good conversation of talking and everything. And that's the first time I actually met Greg, but I heard about him, and
Yes,
at
sir.
that time, I think you were at Eau Claire, or were you in transition from Eau Claire to Swansea? Which one was it?
One of the two. I can't remember exactly, but
Yeah, I
I think
can't
it might have
remember.
been transition.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well,
Yes, sir.
well, I am so glad to have you on the show, man.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
tickled pink.
I appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. It's always my pleasure because I learned so much from you guys just sitting there talking to you, and where's my pen? Got to find my pen because I take notes and everything. So why don't I
Yes,
shut
sir.
up? Why don't I shut up and you go ahead and tell everybody who this Greg Wright is?
All right. Like I said, I appreciate you having on me on the show, Coach. It's a privilege and an honor. Be recognized by someone of such a your caliber that's been on the stage where I'm trying to get to, and every other coach trying to get to every year. To win a state championship and hold that trophy up. So it's a privilege to me and an honor to me. So, but who I am, I'm from the low country guy from Cross, South Carolina, Cross, USA, what we like to call it. The big city. But where my cousin Sean Wright is the head coach. Played there for Art Craig. Then my senior year, played for Art Man. Went on to play on the North-South. Won the Wendy's High School Heisman. Went on to at South Carolina State. Didn't play there, and then went on to be a preferred walk-on at South Carolina. Earned a scholarship that by that spring became a 4-year letterman at the University of South Carolina. And after I was finished, Coach Burry and Coach Raymond Harrison, they hired me to be a graduate assistant there. So from there, I helped out in academics with football and helped on the field as well. So I got the best of both worlds. And then once I left there, Coach Baker, Ronnie Baker, was my first head coach. I wanted to get back to the high school kids because, on the next level, it's so political and everything. And, I really wanted to get back to my roots, do what somebody has done for me. I felt like it was only right that I do the same for those kids. So I got into high school. Coach Baker gave me a great opportunity. We had some success there. And then when we left there, I went to Fairfield Central. We went to back-to-back state championships there. Had some great runs with Coach Davis, Demetrius Davis, 2 back-to-back state championships. Then we played in the upper state against Newberry and lost in the last minute. Then I went on to be a head coach myself at Eau Claire. They hadn't won a game in a couple years and got them to win four games, and then eventually moved on to Swansea. They were 4th in the region when I got there, and then we ended up finishing 2nd in the region by the time I left there and in the playoffs. I left there, went on to Dutch Fork, volunteered over there with Coach Knotts, had a great time, great experience with him, learning and soaking up everything that he does. And then once I left there, I went to Denmark High School, had some great success there, and then now to be back at Timberland High School, back in the Low Country. Won Coach of the Year last year, finished out 10-2, lost in overtime to a good Shamrock team. So the future's bright there, and that's where we are now, getting in the spring ball and trying to make another run at it.
When did you number one, who was the academic advisor at South Carolina when you were there? Was Harold still
when
there?
I first got there, when I first got there, it was Harold. It was
Harold White.
Yeah. And yes, sir. And then we had Pappers, and then Raymond Harrison, who was Rodney Harrison's brother. He came and took over after Harold retired.
Yeah, I remember.
Yes,
Harold was Harold reached out to me when I was at C.A. Johnson back in the day, and
yes, sir.
And he helped me out a whole lot. Taught me a lot of stuff, and so I had to ask if you were there. He was a great man. Super
yes,
great.
sir. Ain't no doubt about it. Yes, sir.
Now,
yes, sir.
When did you make your mind up that you wanted to be a coach?
I knew once I finished playing it. Since a little boy, I always knew. I loved the game so much, and like I said, my coaches were like my father figures. So, I knew once I finished playing, that's what I wanted to do. I come from a family of coaches and everything, so it was only right that I get into it as well.
Now, your family coach, I know Sean is. Who else was in that family who coached that got you there?
Well, I had, I say family, but, being that that's my first cousin, my Uncle Harry actually coached with Sean Dad. He actually coached as well. Then, my dad and they coached like the youth league and everything. So, like I said, that was always my passion once I finished.
Now, you unusual. You left South Carolina. You left South Carolina State to move upward. I think that's the first time I heard that.
Right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What happened there?
I betted on myself. Coach Kosh recruited me in high school, and for whatever reason, I didn't get to sign with them right away. So he offered me a preferred walk-on position, so I took it. And he told me I would have an opportunity to come there and compete and earn a scholarship. And by that next semester, I was on scholarship. So it worked out. It usually don't work out like that, but it worked out for me. I always pride myself on work ethic, and I believed in myself. I knew I could play, and I just had to show it once I got on that stage.
So, what position did you play?
I played safety, and they moved me to spur. I came in as a safety, and they moved me to spur. Once Coach Spur came there, and they came with the spur position, they moved me to spur. Coach Nix and them, they wanted to get more speed on the field, so they moved me to that spur position, which is like a nickel guy, you know, your hybrid guy, safety slash linebacker. I was a tweener.
So you had so you had yourself a lot of fun playing there at
Yes,
the
sir.
spur.
Ain't no question. You know, got a chance to be, you know, play under Lou Holtz for a year, and then play the rest of my years under Spurs. So I got the best of both worlds. Is what I tell everybody.
It's funny that you should mention Lou. Out of everything Lou has said, he is one thing that I use all the time when I tell our kids, so that we can get everything in proper perspective here. I always tell our kids, I am not going to become you. I am not going to become you. You are going to become me.
Yes, sir.
I've always remembered that,
Oh, yeah.
and that kind of encapsulated everything about how this thing is going to go. And there's amazing things that you learn from somebody, and it makes sense to you, and you use and everything. Now,
Yes, sir.
when you were at Eau Claire, how did that? Tell me about that situation, because that's a tough situation down there.
Yes, it's tough, but I tell you what, you know, those are some great kids there, and they probably, you know, I really love those kids because when you know, a lot of times you speak to certain kids and they don't understand the language and why you're telling them to push and work, you know. But when I tell you what, those kids, and Coach Baker will tell you too, and Coach McKeever, those kids, I mean, they open and close the weight room. You know, for some of them, it was better for them to be there with us in the weight room than being in some of their own environments. You know, so that always, you know, hit home to me, you know, because like I said, my coaches were like my father figures. You know, my dad was around, but, you know, he wasn't, you know, involved like that, you know, at games and stuff and, you know, big into sports. It was just, you know, I grew up old school. Do as I say, you know what I mean? So, you know, my coaches were me getting those hard lessons and those talks from my coaches, you know, that's what really drove me. And so it's the same thing when I got with those kids. You know, they gravitate and they soak up everything that you say. Like, I still talk to those kids to this day. You know, I had a kid that played at South Carolina State, played corner there, Marquise Bowen, who went on to North Carolina A&T, who won a national championship there. You know, like I just met with those guys, you know, just last week and the week before, you know. So, you know, those are like my sons. That's what I tell them, you know. You know, like I said, you know, they soak up everything that I gave to them. So, you know, I appreciate those kids, and they appreciated me.
And from there, you went to Swansea.
Yes, sir. Went to Swansea.
And that was a shocker to me. Yeah, I kind of say, okay.
Right. Yes, sir.
I said, homeboy must have went over there and put pins in their eyes so they couldn't see. but how was that? Was that Swansea we played? I can't remember. Who'd you take over from?
I took over for Lee Park.
Chad.
Lee Park, that's at Gilbert. Yep, Chad Lee Park, that's at Gilbert High School right now. Great coach.
Yeah, and who was there before him?
Before him, it was I think it was Bucky Stroud, and then before him it was Maddox.
Okay.
Maddox was the
I think I remember playing Swansea when I was at Scotch Branch and back in the day, and gosh,
yes,
you know, I think I remember that. I think that's the team that we played, but anyway, let's talk about what you did. Now, you turned that thing around, or you got it back on the footing. What happened there at Swansea?
Well, with at Swansea, we kind of turned, like I said, they had, Lee Party did a great job there, but that last year they didn't have the success that he has had there in the past. Before I got there, I think they might have finished fourth in the region, and then, like I said, we finished, second in the region, went on down to Strong Thurman, which is the first time in, I believe, in history that Swansea had beat Strong Thurman. So we had a good year, had a lot of good guys coming back. So we had some good success. Had a kid that, signed with Clemson and everything, kid that now playing at Michigan State. So we had some good things that happened down there. Yes, sir.
And you finished second in the region, I think that's what you said?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Finished second in the region.
Now, you had were you able to bring the Swansea situation more particular? Were you able to bring people with you, or you had to take what you had, and how did that work?
But when you're going into a situation, you don't want to just clean house, in high school, because you never know, you might miss out on a good coach, or, they might be tied to the community in some way. So, you try to give them an opportunity. So I kept some guys, and then I brought in some guys with me. I had a good mixture, I'll put it that way.
And the kids bought into what you were trying to do almost immediately, or they were
yes,
just...
sir. Well, that's kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So that, I'm young, but I'm an old school, hard nosed. So I smile a lot, but when it comes to that football field, like, I don't play the radio. So they had to get used to that. And then once, like I said, that first year, you kind of weed out some things, and you find out who's gonna be with you and who's gonna ride with you, who's gonna buy in. And then the next year, we had those guys. I had the people around me, to head in the right direction. So, like I said, we were headed definitely in the right direction.
And your total record that year was at Swansea that year?
I believe we finished, might have been 5-5.
5-5, okay. Second in the region, though.
Yes, sir. But we finished, I think we were 4-1 in the region.
Okay, great. Okay, that. Oh man. So you were rocking right there in the region, and then from there,
yes,
you
sir.
went to Denmark.
Went over with Dutch. Yes, sir. Well, I went to Dutch Fork for a year.
Yeah. Let's talk about that experience, Dutch Fork, because I just got to talking with Marlon. Were you there with Marlon?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was there with Marlon for a year. Yes, sir.
Yeah, we just got to. Marlon just was on the show before you did. And what did you learn from that experience with Tommy?
Oh man, Coach Knotts. The way he thinks about things that most coaches, aren't thinking about. Like, he's always finding ways to get better, always finding ways to challenge, kids and coaches. He demands it. And that's the thing he writes on the board. Coaches always have to have a vision and always be demanding. And that's the thing that I get from him. For the most part, like he told me, he said, I'm gonna give you a word of advice. When I first met him, I'm the type, I'm always trying to learn, always trying to grow. So when he first moved there, I started going over there, sitting down with him and Coach Dixon in the weight room and just soaking up stuff. So I got a relationship with him. And then when I went over there and coached with him and really got to be a part of it, what he told me is, he said, when I first became a head coach, I wanted everybody to like me. And he said, I got my behind cut. He said, I told myself, if I'm going to get my butt cut, then I'm going to do it my way. And he said he hadn't lost more than 2 or 3 games ever since. And me, taking that year over there and now, getting a little older, a little wiser, I get what he's talking about. Yeah, we're going to be a friend. I'm going to be a friend. That's coaches and players. I'm going to be a friend off the field. And I got your back 1,000%, but when you step on that green grass in between them lines, it's a standard, and I got to demand it, and that's in coaches and players. And, A lot of people, you know, that don't understand, you know, me being a head coach already before, I can kind of see, you know, why he's so hard on coaches about certain things because, you know, me being in that shoe for several years, you know, I understand. But, you know, for a young coach or a coach that's never been a head coach, you probably will be a little reluctant if you're not about your business. But if you do your job and you're doing what you're supposed to do, you're not going to have no problems out of him.
Okay. I am losing you as far as lighting. You got any more light there?
Let me see. Nah, not really. Let me see. Hold on.
Okay, that might be the best that we can. Oh, there you are.
Now?
Yeah, there you are now. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now we got you. I hope you
All
don't
right.
burn your battery up.
Yes, sir. I know we good.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. Then we went to Denmark Ola.
Yes,
place that has always had great athletes, I thought, but they never could seem
Yes,
to
sir.
put
Without
it
a doubt.
together. Never could seem to put it together. What did you do to start getting those kids to start believing in yourself? Because I think the work that you did early kind of worked its way out into what they did this year.
Yes, sir. You know, well, the biggest thing, you know, is showing up, being consistent. You know, you ask players and to, you know, to go above and beyond, and you have to show them that. You have to show them consistency. You have to show them that you care. You know, being involved in their lives, not just only with football, but, you know, going to community meetings, going and spending time with them outside of football, taking them to different colleges, showing them that you care. And then, you know, when you do that, kids will run through a brick wall for you once they know that you really have their best interests at heart. You know, not only talking to them. I know so many coaches that they only talk to you during football season. You know, I'm going to be involved in their lives 24/7. You know, 365. Even when I leave there, it's still going to be the same thing. You know, I still call and check on those guys now. I still talk to Coach Littlejohn to this day. So they, you know, that was the biggest thing. They understanding that, you know, Coach really care about me. Coach really, you know, pushing me to be the best version of myself.
And after you got those kids going and building those relationships, then Timberland called?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Timberland called.
And
yes, sir. So
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, now, yep. So down, you know, back in the home area. I can't say hometown, but back in the home area, you know, all us family down here anyway. St. Stephen, Cross, Pineville, Eddytown. I mean, they just a hop and a skip across the bridge. So I still, you know, that was our rival in high school. And actually, it's funny that I took a class over there, a vocational class, as a senior. So I kind of attended Timberland as well. I didn't play for Timberland, but, you know, and me playing for Coach Craig and then, you know, following Coach Craig at Timberland as the coach. So, you know, there's a lot of relationship, a lot of ties there. So, you know, the faces, the community, they know me. So it was a good, smooth transition as far as the community and everything. You know, the first year wasn't as successful as I wanted it to be, you know, with the COVID year, you know, not being able to get in early and really work with the kids. But, you know, I stayed consistent with them once we got back into the school, you know, showing them how I do things and why I do things. You know, the kids have really bought in, and that's why we were able to have a lot of success last year. Plus, you know, was able to get my guys in as far as coaches and everything, you know, that understand and spoke the same language as me. You know, had some good coaches that have been there with Coach Craig. They were great coaches, but just wasn't the right fit for me and my vision. You know, so once I got my guys in and, you know, everybody speaking the same language, we really were able to thrive.
For anybody trying to build a program and everything, how important is that to have your guys that are speaking the same language working with you?
Oh, I mean, you know, you can't have any weak links. You know, Because kids gonna always find, it's like mama and daddy. I always tell my coaches, it's like, if mama is the weak soft side, and then daddy is the disciplinary, they gonna always find their reach resistance path. So, when you get upset with Coach Wright, and then you go to one of my assistants, it got to be the same language. It might be a little different, the way that you put it to them, but the message has to be the same. When you have different messages going to the kids, and that's the kids gonna choose. Kids always gonna choose, and they know kids can read or sense when things aren't right. So, it's very, very important that you always communicate with your coaches and always communicate about how we communicate with kids. Body language, kids will read you. So body language is big. A lot of people talk about body language with the kids, but I'm big on body language with the coaches. That when, whatever I got going on in the outside in the world, outside of, that's my safe place where these kids ain't did nothing to me. I have to come with a fresh attitude and come with energy. You get a lot of coaches, they come out there, faces down, tired, and then you yelling at the kids because they're not going 110%. But what is your body language saying? What are you teaching them? What are you showing them? So that's the biggest thing, having guys that come out there with energy and passion. You might not agree with everything the way I do it, but when we get out there on that field, it got to be the gospel. We can go in the meeting room and we can have discussions, we can have disagreements, we can agree to disagree. But when we walk out on that field, everybody got to be on the same page. That's very, very important. You're only as good as the people around you.
Yeah. Now, has that been a learning experience for you, or has it always been that way?
Like I said, it's kind of just like Coach Knott's song. You hear things from somebody, but you never really know what they mean until you go through it. So once he told me that about, I wanted everybody to like me. I was trying to be the likable guy. And then, I got my butt kicked. And then, once I say, hey, I'm going to do it my way, whether you like it or not, I'm going to still, it's not that I don't care about you, but when we step on this field, it's a standard that we have to present at all times. So that's something I had to learn over time, to being comfortable being uncomfortable, because you don't want to be the guy that's always on a coach or always, you got to get on an adult, but, in our profession, it's about production. So, my kids got to eat, my family got to eat. So if I got to get on a coach, to get you to understand and make sure we be successful, that's what we do. But now at the same time, it's important that when you step off that field, is you gotta talk to your coaches. Let them know, hey, coach, hey, I just want you to be great. Coach, I just want you to, see something that I see. And, they respect it once you communicate with them and tell them why you're saying certain things or why you're getting on them about certain things. Because we ask the kids to do certain things, but you have to display that as a coach. It's not, no matter if you had a falling out with a kid in the school or the principal, hey, when you get out on them kids on that field, those kids deserve your everything. They don't have nothing to do with that. So you got to leave that where it is. Address that when you get off that field.
I know I'm going to get fussed at. So, and she doesn't even know me, but she's going to fuss at me. Let's talk about mama. Let's talk about mama. I know,
yes, sir.
I don't want to be fussed at that much. I know that. I know that I have a lot of duty. They're different. Approaches like is different than anything in the world. You want to give props to mama. You want to give props to mama right now.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Being a coach, you have to have a strong and understanding wife, because it's a lot of time and hours you spending investing in kids, and you spend a lot more time with those kids than you do your own. So, I appreciate my wife, who holds the fort down, like I said, the other day on Mother's Day. She makes our house a home. She is the rock. So I appreciate Kayla Wright for everything that she does and continues to do for me and my family.
And how many kids do you have?
I have 3 kids. I have a son who's 6, who'll be 7 in August, and then I have a daughter who's 5, excuse me, and then I have another daughter that's 1.
Okay. So you got to even it up now, huh?
Yep. Yeah, I gotta even it up. Hey, I don't know if she agree with that. If she's watching this, she's probably rolling her eyes right now. Yeah, we trying to even the score.
Okay. All right. So,
Yes, sir.
so Miss Kayla, forgive me for not doing this earlier. And if you want to point your finger at me whenever we meet, you go right ahead. How's your administration treating you right now?
My administration, they hired me. We have a great relationship, where we can communicate, and everybody. The biggest thing is that everybody has each other's back. Whether my Miss Reed, who is my AD, does a great job of making sure everything is in order, making sure that we're doing all the little things right. And Tim Evans, my principal, is a great guy. Has a great vision about, he's been there before and he's coming in with me. So, I feel like we really have a true family there at Timberland High School.
And the teachers and the other people, they are on board with your vision as far as the administration? Do they support your vision of where you want to take Timberland?
Yes, sir. They definitely support it because, the biggest thing, you have to get the community, you have to get the faculty and staff involved. So we do a good job of doing teacher appreciation, where we give our teachers a jersey. Each player, they go, give a teacher a jersey for a game and tell them, how important they are and, and how much they appreciate everything that they do for them. So, doing things like that, getting them involved, goes a really long way. So they've been very supportive. They'll call on me, hey, coach. They know that I'm going to discipline them if they got any issues, or I'll come by, stop by their class. So it's been really good.
Mm-hmm. You talked a little bit about your staff. How do you keep them involved in the well, let's talk about that great staff of yours. You talk about them. You tell us about your staff.
Yes, sir. Well, I have an offensive coordinator, Jalen Hill, very sharp guy, came from Oceanside. He's continuing to grow. He learned from Coach Jeter, so does a great job. A detailed guy. He's a demanding guy. He has a good relationship. He's young enough where he still can kind of have a good relationship with the kids, where they understand that, yeah, he's coach, but at the same time, he's young enough where they can kind of relate to him a little well. So that's a good situation to have there. Then I also have Coach Buford, Kent Buford, who coaches my running backs. He's a community guy. Played for Coach Craig. Their first region championship there. So he knows what success look like. He knows what good coaching look like. So it's good to have him. He really pushed those kids, and he's coming from the rep program as well. So he's been with those guys since they were little kids. So that's a good relationship to have there as well. Also, I have Coach Gevers, who's also our girls basketball coach there. He's young enough where he has a great relationship with those kids there. He was the JV head coach and our wide receiver coach. He does a great job with those kids, demanding, the standard that we stress to them. On the defense side, I have some young guys. I have Coach Glover, who played at Charleston Southern, was also a GA at Charleston Southern. Does a great job with the D-line. Also, he coaches the special teams. He's a special teams coordinator. Got a young guy that played at Clemson. He has 2 national championship rings. So for him to bring that wisdom, playing under Coach Venables, he does a phenomenal job for us right now. And and he's young enough where he can kind of, I'm getting on him, but at the same time, he can kind of drive that message home that they can relate to. So that's pretty good. And I have Coach Haynes, who went to Coastal Carolina, played at West Ashley High School, played really well in high school, does a great job with my secondary as well. So we have some good guys there. that are doing a great job, some good young coaches, that'll really be good head coaches one day. And that's the biggest thing about me now. I drive them. I ask them, what their goals are, and I don't just treat them, where they are. They come in as an assistant. Hey, I know where they want to get to, so I'm always talking to them about and trying to teach them about, wanting more, trying to get more, becoming a head coach one day, things you have to look at, things you have to do as far as getting certification and everything. I'm always driving them and pushing them to whatever their goals are. So, they know I care about them too, and I have their best interests at heart. So that's why it's been good for us.
What advice would you give a young coach, today, and he wants to one day be a head coach?
The biggest thing is soak up everything, that you can. Ask questions. Take the initiative. That's the biggest thing with coaches. The biggest thing, take the initiative. Try to see what coach. Don't always wait for coach to ask you to do things. Try to anticipate. That's the biggest thing, because when you get in that role, I tell them to be the assistant that you want to hire as a head coach one day. If they take anything from me, that's the biggest thing I tell them. Because you're going to be in that shoe one day. What do you want your assistant to look like? What do you want your assistant to be doing? So that's the biggest thing I tell them. And, coming in as a young coach, I've been there too, where whatever you've learned, that's not the end-all, be-all. That's not the only way. Don't shy away or not take up something just because that's not the way that you're accustomed to. You have to understand how your position fits in that scheme. It's not what you know, it's how does it fit in the scheme that your coach, that the head coach or the coordinator is trying to implement.
Have you had to turn down?
And the last thing
Go ahead. I'm sorry. We got a little delay.
All right. The last thing I tell you is I tell a young assistant that write down everything, and then think about when you become a head coach. These are some things that I like that I'm going to do, and these are the things that I'm not going to do. Learn from my mistakes. I tell my coach to learn from my mistakes. Learn from other people's mistakes, and then you build your own repertoire. You find out what you like, and then you put it on, and you make it your own.
When let's talk about your kids. Did it take long for them to buy in? I'm talking at Timberland right now. Did it take long for them to buy into you? Art was there for a long time.
Yes, that was a challenge. When you come in with, you got seniors that have been with Coach Craig for a long time, and I played for him, so he's a great coach, and he demands a certain standard, and he does things a certain way. And when I come in with things a little different after they've been under him for so long, and it's a short year with COVID year where I didn't get an off season to really build relationships with them, yeah, it was a challenge because they have been doing things their way for so long, and then I come with a little different style, a little different technique on the way I do things. Yes, it was a challenge, but like I said, once those younger guys got an off season with me, that was the real ticker. That was the real driving point for us. That they know that, it's not Coach Craig, but Coach Wright, he really cares about us, and he knows what he's doing as well.
So you're saying the biggest thing is not the X's and O's, but the relationships that you build with your kids and with your staff.
Yes, sir.
And with
yes,
your I'm sorry, dead air. My fault.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah, yes, sir. Definitely. You can have all the X and O's in the world, but if you ain't got them Jimmy and Joes that'll run through a brick wall for you, that can execute that, it don't mean nothing. The biggest thing with me, we can overcoach kids too. I try not to overcoach them. We make football harder than what it really is. Keep it simple. Don't have the kids out there thinking, because you could take a 4-3 guy and turn him into a 4-9 guy because he out there thinking. Keep the read simple. This is what I learned from Knots. it's repetition. Reps. That's the biggest thing I learned from him. Don't have so many plays, and I'm big on this quote. Bruce Lee said, I fear the man that practices one thing 1,000 times opposed to the man that practices 1,000 things one time, because you never get good at it. If you're doing so many different things, you're never going to get good at it. Keep it simple, rep it, because at the end of the day, when those kids get tired, they can always lean on it. Hey, we've been doing this all year. Hey, we can lean on it. We know money back guaranteed. Hey, this is going to work as long as we execute and do our job.
When let's talk about that community of yours. They are,
yes, sir.
They are locked in.
Oh yeah, yes sir. Oh, football is in Timberland.
Yeah, I've experienced that area a lot. We played down in that stadium a lot, and they are very good people, because I know some of them, but I'll let you talk about that community.
Right. Well, like I said, it's like family. It's just like being home for me. They are definitely 24/7. They want to live, breathe, sleep, eat, talk football 24/7. From the rec league all the way up. You got Alvin, you got St. Stephen's, you got Hughes, you got Pineville, you got Jamestown. And they all competitive about football. So it's a beautiful thing once we can get them all on the same page in one stadium and everybody fighting for the same reason. So, but they've been nothing but supportive of me. There's nothing that anytime that I can't call on them or they're not calling on me, asking about football 365, they're locked in. I'm talking about not just the dads. I'm talking about moms and everything. They are always ready for football season. It's a good thing. It's a good feeling. I always want to be somewhere where football is important. That's important to me.
That is very important to everybody. Now, you don't well, let me put it like this. Do you have most of your kids playing other sports?
Me coming from a small school, from a 1A school, I tell those guys, because if you're not doing anything, you're not getting better. My college coach, our strength coach, Black Iron, used to always tell that, if you never stay the same. Either you're getting better or you're getting worse. So if those guys are not involved in other sports, then I'm getting on them. I tell them, hey, you have to do a spring sport. You have to do a winter sport. And that helps the camaraderie of the school and everything, too. You want them to live and breathe and bleed that orange and green, be a Timberwolf or being a Wolf. So you want them to be involved in not just only football, and I think that really develops the athlete. Urban Meyer talked about, 90% of the kids that he had on his national championship team, they played multiple sports. And I feel like if you're doing those multiple sports, they all kind of help each other. If I got a skilled kid, playing basketball, if he plays DV for me, him playing man-to-man, it's the same technique. It's the same stuff, lateral movement, shuffling, keep everything up underneath your armpits, so it's the same thing, and it helps. I think it helps each other. The sports feed off each other. So I'm definitely always encouraging them to get involved. But at the same time, I feel like, if you're involved in other sports, then you really care about that community. You care about, that program, and that's the way it should be. Kids should be playing for their community, not just, the name that they have on the back of them.
Do you are all your coaches buying into that, into the non-specialization of athletes, where everybody is allowed, hey, we don't know where these guys are going to blossom at, what sport? Do most of the guys that you work with understand that?
Yes, sir, without a doubt. Coach Stewart is involved, who's our head basketball coach. He's involved with, football. He have roles on Friday night. Our baseball coach, he's one of my coaches. My soccer coach is one of my coaches, and My track coach is one of my coaches. So they're all of us, and our wrestling coach. You know, he also has a role in football and has been coaching for a while. So they all push and motivate our kids to do multiple sports without a doubt. And then our AD is big on that. You know, she wants coaches to be involved in just more than one sport. You know, so it's the same thing with the kids. You know, we want them to be involved.
Now, you how do you get your kids ready for college? What do you
know,
do?
All right. So the biggest thing with me, like I said, you know, I had the best of both worlds. Me being on the academic side at the University of South Carolina in the athletics department, you know, where we talk to kids about how does those letter grades factor into your GPA. You know, a lot of times we tell them, hey, you got to make this GPA. Hey, you need to make a 3.0. But when they say, hey, Coach, I passed, I got a D. Well, they need to understand that D is a 1, all right, and that C is a 2, or that B is a 3, or that A is a 4. So if you're making, and I'm brutally honest with my kids now, either you're working towards your goals or you're working against it. So if you're making C's and you're only making a 2, that's 2 points in a core class, and you only made a C, and that's 2 points, and you're trying to be above a 2.3, the least, the bare minimum, then you're working against your goals. You're under a 2.3. But when you make a B, that's 3 points, you're working towards your goals, so you're above a 2.3. So getting them and the parents to understand that, hey, we don't want to just pass classes, we want to excel. I tell my guys, hey, we need to make B's or higher. And, you know, we hop on them, and I'm constantly checking grades. And I have a young coach, my D-line coach, and he's always checking grades, and he'll, you know, it used to be me when I was assistant for, you know, at Fairfield and Eau Claire, but now I got a young coach. He kind of takes that role. He'll punish them, you know, whatever punishment they need just to get their attention. Hey, you got to get that grade up. And I'm always checking grades and, you know, having meeting with them just to make sure that they on, you know, on board and doing the right things. Now, me and my principal, we meet with those guys at the same time, discussing their future, discussing academics, discussing their goals to make sure that they're on the right track as well. So, you know, it's kind of a collective it's a good teamwork that we do putting it together.
Do you have special programs that you do at the school, like tutoring or things to enhance?
So we have, yes, sir. We have a lot of teachers that get involved, and we also have an athletic mentor, or I would put it like she's like an academic advisor, where if I say, hey, I need, you know, little Timmy, you know, he's having trouble in this class, she's going to contact the teacher, she's going to contact that kid, and she's going to meet with that kid and meet with the address the teacher, you know, how can we get little Timmy back on track? You know, what is little Timmy missing? You know, so it's good to have that as well. It's good to have that as well.
How early do you start with them?
We start with them in freshman year because, you know, the biggest thing, you want to get those guys to understand how that works immediately, because when they get up in grade, when they got so many credits, it's hard to get that GPA up. So you want them to have a good foundation early. You know, it's better to stay ahead than to try to work on the back end, and now you got to play catch up. So we try to stay on them as freshmen. And then what I also do, I hold a seminar where I talk to them about this, and I teach the parents. When we have parent meetings, that's the number one thing that I drive with them. I'm talking about how those letter grades factor in. And I tell those parents, hey, if you have any questions, your kid's going to come home and tell you, you know that, hey, you know, they don't have the report card. I tell them, call me out, because I ain't going to lie. I'm going to tell you exactly what they got on their grades. I can check their grades. I can go on Power School, and I'm going to let you know. So, you know, those parents there, they know that they can reach out to me at any time as well. So that's good as well.
Okay. One other question, and then I'll get to the last two questions that I asked everybody, and which always seems interesting. When you got there at Timberland, Did you have a 2-year plan, a 3-year plan, 5-year plan? Something, or where you want to be, where you want this program to be down the future? Did you have one of those?
No. What I do is, I'm kind of like a perfectionist. Like I want to win now. Like I ain't,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm thinking about each and every day. Like I'm consistent. Our kids will be like, hey, we working out today. 365. My kids used to it now. They know, hey, we're gonna be working. There's no days off. Like I said, because if you ain't working, either you getting better, or you getting worse. So we're gonna always try to get better every day. So I'm always, it's something, whether we're in the weight room, whether we're talking about, plays or whatever, we're always going to be trying to get better every day. So that's how I work. I take care of what's in front of me. I don't worry about down the road. I try to, try to develop. We develop 24/7 at Timberland High School.
Okay. All right. Last two questions, because I want you to get home. You're out there in that dark. And,
Yes, sir.
yeah. Last two questions. First question: if you could pick one person that you could sit down and talk with, can't be a coach, just one person,
Okay.
and you got an hour with that person, who would that person be?
That's dead or alive?
Dead or alive? Yeah.
Okay. Martin Luther King Jr., Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., because what he did for this country and the way he did it, which is, it would have been easy for him to, become violent. We try to preach to our kids about, responding to situations and not reacting. So for him to go through what he's been through, what he went through, and to, take that approach, I mean, that's the ultimate strength to me. Being comfortable, being uncomfortable. Those are the people that usually make it. Those are the successful people. Those are the, the great ones that everybody talks about. They find a way to be comfortable being uncomfortable. So it'll probably be him. That's always been, an idol of mine and somebody I really admired.
Okay. Now, that coach, that if you could spend an hour sitting down talking with, who would that coach be?
Um, It'll probably be Tommy Knox. He's special. I'm gonna be honest with you. I can sit and talk all with him. He's special. I mean, because like I said, he gets it. Whatever it is, he gets it. He's constantly finding ways to get better. And the biggest thing that I learned from him, comfort destroys progress. And that's something that's really always sat with me. Like I said, it kind of resonates. Those things kind of, like I said, once I got a little older and now wiser, those things kind of tying in together. What I learned from my strength coach, talking about you never get, you never stay the same. You either get better, you get worse. So and then him having the mindset of, comfort destroys progress. They kind of tie in together. So it resonates with me, and that's who I would sit down because he's super sharp. He's always trying to get better, always. Always developing, and the proof is in the pudding. That's why he wins every year. People think it's players, but they develop over there. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've seen a lot of teams that we played, and they're bigger, they're stronger, they're faster, but they are disciplined and they are strong as ox because they believe and they are consistent at what they do.
Okay, well, that's great. Well, I'm gonna get you home to Mama, so you can get out of that dog. Cause
Yes, sir.
I don't want her coming
Yes,
after
sir.
me. Anything in closing that you want to say?
Like I said, I appreciate you doing this. This is phenomenal that you do give us a platform to, it's, I always say, I'm big on quotes. Each one teach one. So for me to get an opportunity to, hopefully inspire a younger coach or give somebody a nugget that might help them. I mean, I appreciate that opportunity. And any coach and anything that wants to reach out, and I don't know everything, but I do work at it, and I do know some things that has worked, and I know some things that didn't work. So I would help out in any way that I can. That's what coaches like yourself did for me. Like I said, when we sat down, and I'm over there asking you questions because I'm soaking it up like a sponge because you've been where I'm trying to get to. So I appreciate you, giving me that opportunity then and now. So just thank you, and we appreciate everything that you do, Coach.
Okay, man. Well, I appreciate that. And with that, I'm going to turn you, Lisa. You go get on home because I don't want no mugger coming to get you out there. But I really appreciate you stopping there and doing this, man, because I think it's important that people know you guys and know that these schools are in good hands. And, just to see y'all do the phenomenal jobs that y'all are doing out there. And I really appreciate you coming on and everything. So with that, Greg, I'm going to let you crank the car up and go home. Okay. And thank you again for coming on, man.
Yes, sir. Oh, no problem. I appreciate you, Coach.
Okay, man. We'll talk later.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yes, sir.
Okay, people, that concludes our interview with Greg. Man, these guys are young lions, as they call it. I don't know where I got that from, but I picked it up from somebody. And they call them young lions, and you can see some of the things that they're doing. Not that they knew everything, but they got out there and they learned from the best. This is the second guest in a row that has mentioned Tommy Nuts over at Dutch Falk, and you only get better by going to the best. You can't get jealous. You can't say this and that. You got to go to the best and learn. And when you get to that point where you can put your feelings inside your pocket and say, well, I'm probably not as good as I thought I would be, that's when you start growing. A couple of things. Next week, on Tuesday, we got the great Marion Brown from Baptist Hill High School on Tuesday, and we come back to the Columbia area with Shaq Hilton over at Eau Claire High School. Second, on June 7th, we got the big show. We got the legends coming on on here, and we got Bill Tate, Benny McMurray, Nate Thompson, Darryl Page, Tony Felder, and Tommy Brown. I don't know if the screen is going to be big enough to hold all these legends, but we're going to have a 2-hour show, and we're going to have these guys on talking about, of course, these young lions and talking about things that they've done in the past, and and something I'm just going to sit back and listen, and that'll be a show that you can comment and ask questions to any one of the coaches and everything. I'll just be a moderator, get this thing to them. So on that, thank you all for coming on. I really appreciate you being on the show and listening to these guys. Of course, you can always listen to it via Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn because they are recorded, and you can listen to them anytime. So, and also, again, congratulations to Chris Carter being named the head football coach at Orangeburg Wilkerson High School. With that, I'm going to bid you good night, and remember when I say, tell somebody you love them and give them a hug. Good night, and have a good night.